in the incident. Am I right or wrong? This is what we want in America, and this is what will happen if we continue the way we are going right now. And you take a look at past history. You take a look at World War II, for example. Everything that happened prior to Pearl Harbor, everything that happened prior to Germany, everything that happened prior to Korea, for all these things that happened, we talk about something called pretext. We talk about everything you see here is prologue, okay? And so when you start seeing the signs of these things happening, you tend to wonder, like, for example, presidential popularity, the lowest it's ever been. President using executive power, abusing that executive power. That is something that is unheard of, okay? But it happens. Then you start seeing everybody in the inner circle getting all kind of weirded out by what's going on. Chertoff starts talking. People start talking. We just had a Muslim congressman get up and say that he believes that that Bush's Reichstag fire was 9/11, comparing Bush to Adolf Hitler, something that has been done and was wrong, and people say, oh, it's horrible. Now it's happening, becoming mainstream, and no one is batting an eye. Go.
It just seems like they're going to present or they're making all this happen to have absolute control. Absolute, over everything, an absolute dictatorship.
Well, the first event, and we can remember I talk about 3 events. One is the first event. Now, we could say that maybe Oklahoma City was the first event, but I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe 9/11 was the second event. The third event is the big show, the final act, the curtain call, and this is the one that solidifies and basically molds and glues together the very police state that we have feared and have been. I mean, take a look at what's going on in England right now after the bombings in Scotland. All the police officers are now wearing cameras on their helmets. That is fucked up.
It's the prisoner.
It is fucked up. What's that?
I said it's the prisoner. We're all in the village.
It's the prisoner, okay? Yeah, exactly. Give him a hand. It's the prisoner. Fucking cameras on your heads. Now, what is the purpose of this? Crime is going to happen whether you have a camera on your head or up your ass. It doesn't matter. The crime is happening. And when it happens, people are harmed, and no camera is going to put a Band-Aid on that shit. No camera is going to help that shit. It's just going to make it even more terrifying when they play it over and over again on the news every night. Don't you think? Isn't that exactly? I mean, 9/11 over and over again. Princess Diana slamming into that wall over and over again. How many times do we have to have that shit pounded into our heads until we say, please, please, kick me in the face with your jackboot. Please do it. I need it now.
Clyde, I think what's going to happen is that over half of our naval fleet is amassed right now in the Persian Gulf off the coast of Iran, or I don't know if it's the Persian Gulf or one of the other lovely gulfs over there. Somebody's going to shoot an Exocet missile from somewhere in the direction of Iran, and it's going to shoot into the side of an aircraft carrier and blow it up.
It's going to be like the Tet Offensive. Bam, bam, bam. Let's start a fucking war. Somebody's going to fire the shot, and you know what? When the shots are fired, no one cares. All they care about is if they can call it a war and declare it. And that's what they're waiting for. We're waiting for that busting point. We're waiting for that time where it's all going to, you know what? Fuck August. It's going to happen at the end of July. It's so damn right there. You can feel it. You can taste it. You can see the blood in their eyes right now. George W. Bush gets up on TV with a smirk on his face, and what does he do? He says, we're not bringing him home. But the guy in Iraq says, they're bringing him home. No, we're not. Yeah, no. Which is it? They don't even read their own bullshit anymore. It's so confusing right now. You know that with the chaos, whenever you start seeing chaos, what comes after chaos? Order comes after chaos. Everything is under control. One nation under control, indivisible. Well, maybe not indivisible, but still under control. Go ahead.
No, just several things. You're talking about cameras on the helmets. I saw a report on CNN just this past week of a town, some beach town, where the policemen do have cameras on their helmets in America right now. and they're walking around, and they were interviewing people. Say, well, most people say, well, I think it's a good idea. They should have those cameras. You know,
Well, but then, of
that
course,
way-
did you see the report after Scotland, though?
yeah.
There were guys walking the streets in New York, and they put microphones in front of them and says, what do you think of the cops that are holding those big AK-47s? Oh, I wish they would have done that before this happened. I want to see more of this on my streets in America. I want to see more shit like this going on in my city because I want to live under the gun. Who the fuck wants to live under the gun? You don't want to live under the gun, do you? Of course not. You don't want to do it. No. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so I guess it's legal to have the police have cameras on their helmets, and it's legal to have cameras on public transit. It's legal to have cameras in colleges and in school bathrooms and everything else. But you know what? I bet if any one of us regular people were to go outside with even a regular full-size camcorder and just walk down the street and, and just, look at everybody and take everybody's picture and we just told everybody, yeah, we're taking pictures for security. I bet you any of us that did that would get arrested for it.
Well, only if you were pointing it at a cop beating the shit out of a retard. That's the only time you get arrested for something like that. Or a mentally ill person. What were you going to say?
People have been arrested all over this country for having camcorders on the streets, just taking pictures of buildings, etc. I mean, we can't do it, but the state can.
Well, there was a guy, I remember there was a story, I think it was the Romanians that came here. Remember when the Romanians, any of you remember that far back when we had Romanians here in the islands? A couple of you do. And one of the Romanian guys said that he came here to get his citizenship, and they were standing out in front of the federal building, right? And they started taking pictures of each other. Yay, I got my American citizenship, bully shit, yeah. And what happens is the police came out and told him you couldn't take pictures of him in front of the federal building. And he went, I'm in Romania or something. I mean, he thought, wait a minute, I get my American citizenship thinking that I can be free and do what I want to do, but then you're told you can't take pictures in front of a police station. When I lived in South America, you couldn't take pictures in front of a police station. You couldn't even walk by a police station without having identification. That's how bad it got. I was talking with a student today. He said he lived in Turkey in the 1980s. He said they were going through their terrorism fit. And people were shot after hours during curfew. The police brutality was amazing. Everything was out of control. In Argentina in the 1980s, the same thing happened. They had the dirty war. People who were speaking out against the government were desaparecidoed. There was a big, big, big push for religion. A big push to turn people's minds back to God. They're saying that this is where we need to stand up for our beliefs. All the other religions are counterfeit. All the other religions are evil. All the other religions are here to destroy our way of life. How many people heard what the Pope had to say the other day? Yeah, a few of you. Pope got up and said that all religions except the Catholic faith are counterfeit. Yeah. Man, that guy has he has some sort of a death idea, doesn't he? He wants to die. First he says Muslims are not a good religion. He goes to Turkey. Then he gets up at the Vatican and says, hey, all you other churches, you suck. And man, I'll tell you what, that's pretty fucking interesting coming from a guy whose priests are now getting sued for fucking little boys.
Hitler said the same thing.
What do you mean?
All other religions are counterfeit. And Joe Rat, he was a Nazi.
Well, he was a Nazi. He was a Nazi youth who was an innocent bystander. He
Thank
wore
you.
the shorts and the costume, but he really didn't participate. Like Werner von Braun didn't participate.
But we know.
Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Once a Nazi, always a Nazi.
Go ahead.
Unless I missed something, the Pope hasn't gotten around to insulting the Jews yet.
He will. That's
You
next.
think he will, or do you think that Catholics in Israel may just have a alliance coming?
When are the Catholics ever been friends with the Jews? Well, do you remember what they said back in 1936? What was Hitler? A good Catholic boy doing his best for God. I mean, think about it. You need to take a look at history and see what we see. I mean, when I talk about the prologue, all of this type of thought was going on prior to World War II. The idea of the Semitic hatred was going on. People were jealous. Jews fighting Arabs, Arabs fighting Jews, Americans fighting Jews. the whole sentiment against Jews, the whole sentiment against people from the Middle East.